VentureX Studios. It's JP, Kathy, and the crew.
All right, good morning. It is Monday morning, and as you can see, we already have our resident expert on family healthcare, Dr. Norm Clothier with Family Healthcare and Associates. His office is right there in Richardson, Texas. They still call that Richardson, right?
Yeah, it hasn't changed names at all.
So the state hasn't redistricted you yet?
For years. That what?
The state hasn't redistricted you out of Richardson yet?
No, not yet. It's kind of amazing how some cities and municipalities kind of maintain intact, even if I'm in them. So
go figure that.
Yeah, it's kind of incredible. Actually, we are at a unique spot here because our south end of our parking lot is the division of Collin County to Dallas County, and then the north end of our parking lot is the division between Richardson and Plano. So you are correct that, if you didn't just know that Richardson means Richardson, that, it's kind of hard to define.
So then you could really decide how you feel that day. If you want to be in Dallas that day or Collin that day or Plano or Richardson.
I tell you, during the height of the pandemic, I never walked past the south end of the parking lot because restrictions were a lot tighter in Dallas County.
You're a wise man, Dr.
Collin County. So
very wise man.
Yeah.
Talking about wise man, COVID-19 is coming back around again. We're hearing warnings issued by the government. We're hearing politicians talk about it again. Let's go to the doctors, shall we? Dr. Clothier, what do we know about the new variant and what should we do?
Well, first of all, I want to say that all viruses mutate, and I find it surprising that there's mutation. We've talked about that before. That's what viruses do. They use a host to replicate, and that host in this virus happens to be a human. And then once it replicates and, kind of can be spewed out in particles or into the air, then the next host, it may or may not fit just right, so it'll kind of tend to mutate. And so there's always a widespread amount of mutation, and there's nothing odd about that. I want to emphasize this doesn't mean it's engineered differently. It doesn't mean it's weaponized. It doesn't mean it's, wasn't real last year and is real this year or whatever. I hear all kinds of strange comments and questions about that. But the flu virus has different strains every year, and that's why we have a different flu shot each year. And the common cold, you've often heard the oft-used phrase, we've never found a cure for the common cold. And the reason is it mutates every year or every few months. And, there are a ton of strains, many of which are, by the way, coronaviruses. And so this coronavirus 19, of course, has been called the novel coronavirus because it was new to the human group. And that's why no one had adequate immunity against it prior to either infection and then immunity, which we don't know how long that lasts, or to the vaccine and then immunity, and we don't know how long that lasts because nobody can project 10, 20, 30, 40 years into the future. So just like there's an annual flu shot, there probably almost certainly, and we talked about before too, will be a booster series on COVID. I think we've all kind of predicted there will be a combination COVID and flu shot probably in about 3 years. Takes a little while to get approval on combination shots, but that way you can be protected against what we often call seasonal illness over time. And that brings up the issue of the season. We have entered into summertime. If you were unaware, it is July now, and we often see less viral infection in the summertime. Now, that may be people being outside more. It may be that the viruses don't like the heat as much. Now, last year, we really hoped that would be true. If you recall, the pandemic really hit America in March. We hoped by June or July there'd be nearly no infection, and it kind of died down. It did not. The reason seems to be because it was a novel virus to the human race, and so humans just didn't have an immune response that was adequate for it. A lot of people got sick, and a lot of people died. A lot of people have so-called long COVID or, an extended range of COVID symptoms over time. And so with the vaccine, we have seen less infection. less hospitalization in those with the vaccine who maybe then get the virus, less of the COVID-19 long syndrome, the extended syndrome from the virus. And so if you've been immunized, I think that is fantastic. And if you have not, I would encourage you to. It's readily available. It's all over the place. There's really no reason to not get it at this point. If you desire to get it, it's really just for the people who just desire not to, that aren't, mainly the ones not getting it. But there probably will be some degree of a booster or another vaccine, depending on what kind of terminology you want to use on that, going into this fall or winter. And that'll probably be true every fall and winter for the foreseeable future, because no one knows how long the virus will be around. I'm going to readily assume it'll be around for as long as we can foresee into the future, because that's how the virus has been, the way it has spread around the world so quickly.
So, Dr. Clothier, if I may, have you been given a sense from the CDC through an alert or how to operate, right, on how the booster will be disseminated? Will it be similarly, like my father and I, we had received a notification by text and by email to appear at Stonebriar Mall at this time. Don't come early, don't come late. Bring your text message or email with you. Get in line, get your vaccination, go home. Will it be like that, or will it be here are the places that are open from this time to this time? Just show up and get your vaccination.
I suspect it'll be more wide open. Early there were appointments and specific times because everyone was learning how to get the vaccine. And initially we had to have, back when I got mine, the Pfizer vaccine, with the first one, they gave me a window of time 3 weeks later to get the second one, or else, or I'd be hunted down by the assassination squad again, which is really unfortunate. But
good movie though.
But I was able to get my shot. What's that?
Good movie though.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I can't wait for it to be released, But anyway, there were a lot of restrictions on the time frame, and that was all because it was an emergency approval, and the government and through the FDA and through the vaccination groups really wanted to study, to have accuracy in dosage intervals and follow up in terms of symptoms, side effects, whatever. Now that we have millions of people vaccinated and we know a lot more about it, we can be more flexible. And so, initially you're supposed to go to the same place always to get first shot, second shot for those two vaccine series, the two that are two vaccines. And then, we really wanted 3 weeks on Pfizer, 4 weeks on Moderna, exactly. And now there's far more flexibility. One thing, if you have your Moderna and then you miss your 4 weeks and you remember it 6 weeks, you can go get it and nobody's going to pick on you. It's because we've learned it's far safer and more flexible than what we initially realized, and that getting the vaccine is so much better than not getting the vaccine. Even if you could only get one vaccine and then somehow your life falls apart, you can't get to any nearby store, doctor's office, or even gas station or whatever and get the second vaccine, that you at least have the protection of one. So I believe when the vaccine booster comes around, I think it'll just be spread all over the place again. I think it'll be at pharmacies, groceries, other stores, other sites, churches. Our church has been giving out the vaccine. I think it'll be all over the place, and you can just go get your booster or your third vaccine. Essentially is the way that'll work. Much like the flu shot. You can if you think back to when employers had employees at their place of business, they would bring in people to do the flu shot, or churches did it, pharmacies, doctors' offices, obviously health department. It's all over the place. Flu shot clinics here and there would pop up to where you could do drive-through flu shots, is what used to be talked about before the COVID shot being a drive-through COVID shot. And so all these things are normal in the realm of immunization. And I just want to speak for a moment about those who still have conspiracy theories, fears. They know better than anyone in medical science about the vaccine, for instance, or about the virus. I'm shocked still how many experts come into my office to inform me about the virus and the vaccine and all the things they know that other people don't know. They have special knowledge. And I just want to address that I remember when I was a child, when we rode around in cars, nobody knew what a seatbelt was. I believe our first car that had a seatbelt was the 1973 model, and it had lap belts. And at the time, everybody was super annoyed because within a year or two, buzzers came out that, if you didn't have your seatbelt on, the buzzer would go off. So people would belt themselves behind their back, leave the seatbelt belted. And they're all just lap belts. And then the phenomenon came around of shoulder belts. But in the process, we went from thinking, oh, nobody needs a seatbelt at all, to lap belts can be good, but can also be a challenge. They restrain you, but they may also cause some irritation, from the body going forward and still whacking into the steering wheel or the windshield, until we came out with the shoulder belt that now, prevents a lot of injury. I almost never see anybody with a head injury in a car wreck because their head doesn't hit the steering wheel or the windshield. They have other soreness, and most of their complaints, frankly, are because their seatbelt tightened up and pushed on them, and they, find that to be a little bit annoying. That is nothing compared to head injuries, split forehead, fractured skull, fractured sinuses, death. Those things that happen in car wrecks when you aren't restrained.
Or thrown from your car.
Yeah, exactly. When you're thrown from the car, you usually are dead or paralyzed or brain dead. I mean, that's the usual outcome on that. And so over time, I think we've all learned, hey, seatbelts help. Now there's that phenomenon. There's almost like competition for more airbags to help protect people. You got your side airbag, you got your head airbag, front airbag. And, sometimes people complain. I've kind of had people come in and say, oh, I had this wreck. I whacked into, whatever it was, a post, and my stupid airbag went off. And I think, well, that's because it's there to save your life. And I think that we have a similar phenomenon going on with the vaccine. I think some people just cannot handle that thought of let's be safe. And, it's new. Sure, the virus is new too. And, I think when we look at vehicular safety and the 120 deaths a day in America, that actually has come down even with more cars because of safety restraints. And, all those things may irritate and annoy people. I have people occasionally come in and say, well, I need a note saying I don't have to wear a seatbelt because, it rubs on my shoulder and makes it a little bit itchy or whatever. And I always say no, because if they're in a bad wreck, that seatbelt's going to save their life. And that shoulder irritation is going to seem like nothing in comparison. And I think we're going to reach that point with the vaccine. I think people will realize, it was a little sore for a day. I had to stand in line for 4 minutes, and, I had to wait 15 minutes and be observed after. And we're going to start thinking, boy, that 19 minutes is a whole lot better than 19 days in ICU somewhere because of the infection from COVID, and maybe long-term heart damage, kidney damage, lung transplant need, for instance, from having COVID, the infection. So I think we all have got to come to peace over time with the fact that medical science really is not political. It's the virus is also not political, as far as I can tell. It infects liberals as often as conservatives, Republicans as often as Democrats, libertarians as often as independents. And, I think we have to come to peace with the fact that this is not a U.S. government conspiracy. This is a worldwide pandemic. And I think we really need to realize that the vaccine is an amazing response to this crisis that I think has already begun to save lives. Now, with the variants, like the Delta variant gets the most talk. There are 5 variants that are known right now. The Delta variant has hit America. from India. That's an international deal. That's not U.S. government bringing it in to infect the people. And it is, it seems to be very contagious, especially in younger people. Now, part of that may be a lot of our more mature population has been vaccinated. The vaccine does seem to be very effective against the Delta variant, but the Delta variant doesn't necessarily make you sicker. It's just a new strain. So if you had the infection, if you had COVID-19 before we knew about the variants and this variant, then you may still get the Delta variant and have another round of a COVID illness. That puts you at risk of damage to organs and such, and death. So it's not necessarily a worse infection, but it's a different strain, and that's why there are things like vaccines and boosters to keep the immunity up against these mutations. So the Delta mutation is the current one that is, ravaging through a number of countries and beginning to get into America. Saw an article this morning that Missouri has a new high number of hospitalizations. Missouri is in the middle of the U.S. It is, not that far from here. There are a lot of infections, and it seems to be, as much as anything, it's almost all unvaccinated people gain it and gain hospitalized. And it's from some degree of protection fatigue. People have begun to get together in groups indoors, spend time, share air particles, share spittle, whether they want to or not, because it's in the air from people with the infection, and then they get the infection. So be careful, get your immunization, still be smart about hand washing, and some degree of social distancing is proper still. Those are all lessons we've learned. We've seen a decrease in infections in general because of all this, and I think we just have to keep up our guard.
All right. Well, Dr. Clothier, sounds good. It is now 7:51, so I'm kicking you off the show.
Thank you, Dr. Clothier.
Well,
Have a blessed week.
The discipline there. Yeah, certainly. Thank you.
We follow directions well sometimes.
Well, be respectful of others' times. That's what I believe.
I appreciate that.
Thank you so much, Dr. Clothier.
Have a blessed day. We'll see you next Monday, Dr. Clothier.
All right. Very
that
good.
was good information. That's interesting about Missouri. I was there for 2 layovers, one on Friday, one yesterday. But at the airport, everybody's masked up, all that kind of stuff. So that kind of makes me a little nervous. Luckily they were less than an hour layovers. So
Have
there
you
you
been able
go.
to get the vaccination yet?
No, not yet, because remember, I'm waiting to go to my new doctor in August to see what they say about allergic reactions, all that kind of stuff. And I want to have it done in my new doctor's office while they wait. Now, I've got family who have gotten it. Most of them, the worst it's been has been after the second vaccine has been tiredness, kind of fluish-like symptoms. I want to talk to my new doctor because the new doctor is also going to be putting me on new blood pressure medicine and checking some other things out. And so, better safe than sorry, with my lungs, big fear and so I've got to basically the pre-conversations have been, we've got to weigh out your risks of, if you get it, what are the chances of your lungs with scar tissue from bronchitis for all these years and a couple of bouts of pretty bad pneumonia. No, I'm not a smoker. My brother has clear lungs and he's a smoker. Go figure. Anyways, it's one of those things that I've got to weigh the risks to the risk of a shot and a reaction from that because of my allergies in my past and current, and then also, getting it. And especially with the new strain coming through. At first I was like, I'm good. And, I really didn't have any desire to get it. But when the new strain talk started coming around, I thought, you know what? I've got to talk to my new doctor about this. So this is one of the serious conversations that we're going to have in August. And we'll see. But I know you've got it. Like I said, I've got,
Yes, I do. My dad does.
Quite a few family members who were very, 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 very against it. Like you said, there's a lot of folks, a lot of stuff out there that you get concerned about. And, but they've said, you know what? I wanted to go back to church and not worry when I don't have a mask that I can sing. and I don't have to worry about it, and I think it's kind of a peace of mind.
I was tired of smelling my own breath.
Oh.
Coffee breath is not good. I'm just going to let you know.
Well, and it's funny because Cleo Marchese, we had this conversation with her early on in the pandemic. Is my breath really this bad all the time? And like for my whole adult life, nobody's told me. I took off the mask that I'd worn in the airport and on the airplane all Friday and all Sunday when I traveled. Oh gosh, John, I took one whiff of that. I threw that bad boy away. I was like, oh, this is real bad.
Yeah.
This is really bad.
Yeah, and so I said, I don't, coffee breath is not my thing.
Well,
otherwise I'm okay. It's
coffee
breath.
Coffee breath would have been okay with me. Mine's like sinus breath or something bad.
Oh.
I'm like, I floss obsessively. I brush obsessively. I use mouthwash. I use little mints. I mean, I just had a little mint in my mouth just now when I started talking. So I'm like, what crawled inside of me and died?
Well, and we could ask the same thing about what happens on airplanes. And speaking about airplanes, you just got back.
I'm so glad I got to come back a day early so I could see your smiling face.
Thanks, from
You're
Maine.
welcome. Yeah, well, from Massachusetts.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Up in that neck
somewhere
of the woods.
out there.
Let me tell you. CJ and I walking in, and then CJ's got a friend of his from School of Rock, and she's also there with him for this 5-week program. And we just all sound, and her dad traveled with us. We just all sound so different than everybody up north. It's just so funny. Was at a couple of different restaurants and things over the weekend, and just listening to people. And then when I would say something, or when CJ and I would order something, people are like, "Oh, y'all aren't from here, are you?"
No, wait a minute. No, wait a minute.
What?
Nobody from Boston said, now y'all ain't from here.
Well, no, they didn't say that. They didn't say.
There was no y'all.
It was like,
that.
you guys aren't from around here. So they sounded
Right.
kind of like Fred North.
Fred, you're
a little bit. I mean,
Fred's going deep this morning, by the way.
He's got it.
Like,
He's all.
do we really know that we're dead when we're dead?
He's probably all cocky because he met Ezekiel Elliott this weekend.
Well, he didn't meet him. He took a picture with him. Even.
Well, I know, same difference.
Beyond meeting him.
It's a great picture. I'm like, it looks like they're best friends.
Yeah, at Hollywood Feed, no less.
I know, how cool is that?
Now they're best friends.
Okay, so anyways, I've got to say thank you to the crew, and JP, thank you for your generous donation that helped CJ raise the money to get to the Berklee College of Music. And I'm going to get choked up talking about it. I am so happy for my son. What a great opportunity. I sat in the back of orientation after we checked him into the dorm, and I'm watching all of the things he gets to do in this 5-week program. He's got a chance for 3 college credits. I mean, it's this, he may even have a chance to audition, because this is really where he wants to go to college. And we got to campus and went there. We went and shopped for his dorm when we got in town on Friday afternoon, and then we decided to go drive to campus, get an Uber to campus, walk around, find a cool restaurant down there. And the guy at the hotel had recommended a place, which was phenomenal. And CJ's around there, and I thought, wow, I can see this kid, if he finds a way to get either scholarship money or whatever the case may be, this may be his home. And even though I miss him, I am so excited for him, because what he gets to do in this 5-week period for a musician is like, they called it Hogwarts for musicians. And I was like, that, just is so true, so true. But so me, of course, I like to shop. I like my T-shirts. I like little Doodaddy McJaggers, as you call them. As you call them.
Okay.
So, of course, I've got a Berklee T-shirt on.
And not Berkeley, San Francisco.
No, this is Berklee College of Music in
You
Boston.
can keep it open so we can see your shirt if you want.
Woo!
No, I'm checking your boobs out.
Okay.
I checked your boobs out.
Of course, so, I'm FaceTiming Emily from the bookstore, and I'm like, there's so many cute ones, you've got to look. So we're, going around. So, got her a T-shirt. Then CJ was like, hey, if you're still at the bookstore, he was getting his photo ID made. He said, can you grab me a hoodie? And I said, absolutely. And then, John, God love you.
What happened?
I
Not
saw
a
something.
Don't tell me a unicorn.
I saw
Please no
something,
unicorns.
and it's funny because when I got to orientation, and of course CJ sat front row center,
Of course.
loved it. There's about 649 kids from around the world and around the country who are doing this 5-week program. So CJ, he's up front, I'm in back, crying the whole time. Happiness, because I'm so excited for him and just
Right.
thinking how much I'm going to miss him, but really I'm just happy for him. And so after orientation, when I was telling him goodbye, I was like, we've got your sweatshirt. And I said, and CJ, I had to do it. And he actually thought it was funny, which I'm like, oh, I've got some hip points. Because usually my mom jokes with both kids just fall flat. It's like, oh, it's like worse than a non-reaction. It's like, oh, okay, she just said that, really? But I said, CJ, I saw this and I thought of JP and I had to bring it in to have with me on the show during the next 5 weeks.
Oh. What
Yep.
is it?
It's a little
Is it a
bitty
hippo?
unicorn that has a Berkeley t-shirt on.
I'll be honest with you.
See, look, it's a little baby
See, I
Berkeley
can't look.
unicorn.
My eyes are burning. Now,
So-
you say that, but it looks like a little rhino.
Oh, no.
Or a hippo.
It's a unicorn.
That's a
horn.
hippo.
No, unicorn.
Look how big its nose. That's a hippo.
It's a unicorn.
That's a unicorn hippo.
No. So there we go. So we get the Berkeley
I love the little T-shirt. by the
unicorn.
way.
I figured
T-shirts
at
you gotta
least,
love. I
at
love the
least-
T-shirt.
At least that would be, you'd be accepting of that because that's the Berkeley College of Music logo.
Yeah, I
So
like the T-shirt.
I figured at least you would be cool with that.
You know-
But CJ actually goes, oh, he goes, okay, now that's funny. And I'm like, and he's like, oh yeah, JP's gonna hate that. And I go, for 5 weeks, and he goes, yeah, he goes, actually, that's a good joke. And I'm like, so either he was in a really good mood, and
Oh,
so anything I
and
said
he
was gonna be
was.
funny,
Hello.
and that probably was the case. But he's like, no, he goes, JP's gonna hate that. That's funny.
Yeah. Well, you know what's interesting, and I agree with Fred. It's a unihippo. Or Fred goes a hippocorn.
It's
Nah,
because
I like unihippo.
it's because it's meant for a keychain or for a lanyard. So you've got to keep things compact. But it's a unicorn.
It's a
It's just so
unihippo.
funny. They've got unicorns
Everywhere.
anywhere you go for anything that has a theme, there is a unicorn. Well, didn't you get your niece
Of
like a
course I
Green
did.
Bay Packers unicorn?
Of course I did.
I mean, every sporting team.
But she's 8.
I know. So
mean,
she's a less.
That's what drives me nuts about it. She's 8.
You know what? She may be a 54-year-old
But
who
that's-
still believes.
That's a unihippo. I'm with Fred. That's a unihippo. Or it's a rhino. It could be a unirhino.
No, a pink.
Rhinoceroses have a horn.
Pink, no, but this is a pink horn. That's a unicorn horn.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I might be okay
Yeah.
with this. I might be okay with
plus,
this.
I just noticed this unicorn keychain.
Where does it say that at?
Here, I'll sit this over.
I got to see this.
Oh, and I also found hand lotions when I was shopping for stuff for
Mascot
Siege
Factory. Yeah.
for us to do a hand lotion test if we have time today.
Well, it's our show. We can do whatever we want. We can just say we're going
Well, I think we
longer.
have another guest on too, though.
We do at 8:10.
8:10.
We're going to have Miss Sample Effiam joining us. Yeah, it says hippo.
Oh no, it does not.
Because we're going to do a little fundraiser for art students at Legacy Prep, and
Very cool.
that's one of the schools that I'm at. And
Very
so I'm going to ask
cool.
the crew to dig into their pockets and see if they got extra change
Love it.
and help some art students this semester. So we're
Love
going to talk
it.
to her at 8:10.
For is it like a summer program?
No, this will be for school year.
Oh, okay,
Setting everything for the
fantastic.
school year. It's fantastic. I think
That's
it's great.
awesome.
We're going to let her talk about it.
Love
and
it,
tell us
love
all
it,
about
love it.
So speaking of trips and fun stuff and all of that, let's take a trip down memory lane, shall we? Do you remember when you were a kid and the ice
A long time ago.
Do you remember ever getting the rainbow snow cones off of the ice cream truck?
Duh. Why do you say when I'm a
Duh.
kid? When Emily played softball and CJ played baseball, we still got the rainbow ice cream. Except Tiger's Blood ended up being the one we got recently of
Well,
late.
but now that's changed. Now remember, I'm talking about the old ice cream truck.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The old one. Where
Oh, like the one that went through your neighborhood.
right, and it
Oh,
came
goodness
with the
gracious.
prepackaged snow cone that had the red, white, and
That's a bomb pop.
blue. No, not the bomb pop. I'm talking the snow cone.
So it's in the little cone
little
thing. You're not
cone.
talking the bomb pop is the red, white, and blue on a
no,
stick.
That's in the packaging.
And then remember the pink thing? I always got it was a pink thing.
Yeah, it was called.
That
the
was
pink
really
thing.
good. That was really good.
It was called the pink thing.
And they had those at the State Fair
Now,
of Texas too.
In the freezer.
Yeah.
He had a tray, and he had snow cones already pre-made.
Oh, a pre-done. Yeah. Yeah.
And so he could just hand you your snow cone.
Yeah.
Okay, but then do you also remember when they came out with the ice pops?
You're still talking ice cream
I'm
man
talking-
versus grocery store.
No, I'm talking right. Ice cream man versus grocery store.
Because
now.
their ice pops have been at the grocery store forever and a day, where you cut they're in a
The
plastic
top, that's
tube,
right,
you
that's
freeze them. Yeah, yeah.
So, on a hot summer day, what's your go-to, man? Is it the ice pop in the freezer or the snow cone? And nowadays, the snow cones are in styrofoam cups with the ice cream truck. Dude.
It's a whole
different ballgame.
Yeah.
But do you do the snow cone or do you do like 4 ice pops?
Now, okay, so are you saying let's go back to childhood or even today? Would I prefer getting something out of my own freezer or out of the ice cream truck? Which you barely see ice cream trucks.
Well, that's because they all have a bad name based on how they're
like
creepy.
all the movies and everything.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny because the ice cream truck will come through our old neighborhood. When we were familiar with the guy, it was the same guy all the time. You know, we lived in a cul-de-sac, so there'd be a couple of moms and a big old group of kids that would go out there a couple of times a week during the summer, and so the kids could experience the ice cream truck. The new neighborhood, now of course, kids are too old for it now. I still get excited when I hear the ice cream. It's always jacked up a little off key.
That's because they're wanting to kill you.
And so.
They're scoping you out.
Well, there's been all these movies now, like these horror movies about ice cream truck men who, like, you know, chop you up and put you in the freezer kind of a thing.
Right.
But it's funny. I still get that. It's the ice cream truck. It's the ice cream man. You know, Eddie Murphy, Mom, throw down some money. The ice cream man is coming. Because didn't you panic?
Oh, yeah.
Like when you were a kid, you're like, Mom, I need change. Ice cream man. And you would literally run top speed just to get that ice cream truck. Do you remember that feeling?
Fred's ice cream man was arrested for dealing drugs. so
For real?
I do. I remember the feeling. But see,
for real?
I only
That's
funny.
funny.
They would always do because they had freezers, so it was hard to see, through the freezer. So yeah, they could sell drugs out of that. So, but I mean, I'm not talking about the nostalgia of the crazy clown on top of the crazy truck driving around selling you ice cream. Yeah. That's not what I'm talking about. I use it as a point of reference so you can remember the snow cone versus the ice pop. For me, it's the ice pop. I like being able to go in and have grape, orange, and pink.
Any flavor.
Yeah. I mean, I grab those 3.
My kids, my brother.
I do it today. My dad bought me a box of ice pops in the freezer.
Oh, I still buy them from time to time.
So when I come over.
CJ's like, Mom, I'm 17. And I'm like, I know. But it's funny. Emily, who's almost 22, whenever she comes home, she's like, oh, we have ice pops. Because again, that it's such a good memory. They had them over at their grandmother's house. They had them. We always had those growing up. What's funny, and we tried this because I really like pickles. So does Emily, and we like
what you did.
Pickle juice. No, they have ice pops and they're pickle juice,
I know.
and they're supposed. So we tried those with her and some of her friends for softball. And even though they were all like, "Oh yeah, this is so cool, Miss Ward, thanks, we love pickles," it was kind of like, record scratch.
Right.
It was just one of those things that it doesn't translate because I guess the pickle juice is supposed to be hydrating
it's
and
good for cramping.
Yeah, exactly. So when you're in the throes of especially softball during the summer when you're hot and sweaty and your muscles are really tiring out, they're supposed to be really good for you. But
they are. Pickle juice is good for you.
But the pickle pops just don't do the same thing that the ice pops do.
No thanks. No
so
thanks.
no.
So yeah. So see, I'm telling you, I love snow cones, but I'm down with ice pops. I mean, give me a box of ice pops and call me just happy.
And I guess there's a place by our old house called Snow Mountain, Sugar Mountain. Anyways, it's a little stand by itself over near Parker and Alma, Parker and Custer. Parker
What's it
and
called?
Alma. It's like it was either Snow Mountain or Sugar Mountain. It depended on who the owner was
okay.
at the time. And if it was going to close, and it luckily it opened back up. Now snow cones from there, fantastic. And we usually would get tiger's blood. Me and the kids would.
I love tiger's blood.
That's a good. That grape and red combination is
Yeah.
fantastic. And if you get it at a place like that, then when you're done, you have the juice to drink. And that's just good stuff.
Yeah,
so,
it's all full
yeah.
of sugar and fun.
But that's funny. Yeah, the ice cream man is just not the same as back in the day. Like, if you okay,
Yeah.
well, think about it. Are you going to let
Hey,
Carter?
there's Miss Effie
Are you going to let
Sample.
Carter run after the ice cream truck in this day and age?
No.
No.
No, I'm not. Good morning, Miss Effie Sample. Oh, sound. We
sound.
need sound there. Do we have her?
Do we ever unmuted?
There she is.
Good morning.
Good
Good
morning.
morning.
So, all right, Miss Effie Sample, you've come in on a part of our show where we're talking about the old-fashioned snow cone or the ice pops.
I'm going to have to go with the snow cone.
Oh, we got a snow
Oh,
cone.
there you go. Ding, ding,
There you
ding.
go. All right. There you go.
I love it. I love it.
Has so many colors, you can put all the colors in one.
Yeah.
She's got a point. I just always loved having a fistful of ice pops when I'd walk out of the freezer. I'd get grape, I'd get orange, and then the pink. I don't know what the pink tasted like, but it was good. So I don't know. Well, Miss Effie Sample, thank you for joining us. You are over at Legacy Prep, and you are at their middle school. You are their head director and principal there, right?
That is correct.
And you've got something cool going on that you've been pushing out about art and art students. And tell us all what that is and how can we help out?
Yes, thank you so much for having me on this morning. I really appreciate it. Yes, so what I have going on is I have signed up for Donors Choose. And the reason why I signed up for Donors Choose is because I'm trying to fund, trying to get supplies for our arts program. I think it is so important that kids not only are taught academics and they're academically strong, but I also believe in the arts. And I believe that our students should have the opportunity to experience a good art program, anything really to do with the arts, with art, music, dance. I believe they should get a chance to experience that. That kind of completes the whole child. We want them to be, like I said, academically strong, but we also want them to have that opportunity to enjoy the arts. And so with Donors Choose, I have selected several items that would really benefit our arts program. And what I am looking for is donors, is contributors that would love to support our arts program by donating to Donors Choose. It's a very simple process. No funds come to me. It goes right to Donors Choose. They will buy all the items that I've selected on their website and then ship them straight to the school. I mean, it's a pretty cool website.
That's awesome.
That I was introduced to. And I think that if we get enough contributors to this, to just donate any amount, there's no amount too small, no amount that is too big, but anything would definitely help to fund our program. Because one thing we want, Judge Payton, is we want our scholars, and we call them scholars. We want our scholars to be, like I said, well-rounded. We want them to be reflective. We want them to be innovators. We want them to be very self-reliant. We want them to be transformers, transform this
There you go.
I love it.
and trailblazers. And I tell you, if we pour into them everything that we can, academically, and being artistic, if we pour all of these wonderful business, oh my God, just pouring into them different things, then we can cultivate and send out into this world these scholars that are that will be those trailblazers, those scholars that will be intrinsic motivators, those scholars that will be reflective. I call them reflective practitioners. We will be able to send out those scholars, and so at Legacy Prep, that's our focus. That's what we're trying to do. And if we have some contributors that would love to support our art program, it would be great. We would welcome that.
So, Ms. Sample, tell us real quick, what are just a couple of the items on your list that you're wanting to expose the scholars to there at Legacy Prep?
Well, some of the things are an easels,
Okay.
some paint. We need paint. Paint brushes of all sizes. We're even looking for just like scraps of material scraps, because we want them to be able to do collages, things like that. But those are some of the, and paper, art paper, construction paper. Those are just some of the items that are on that list.
So I want to put into our feed where people can go to donate.
Yes.
So what do I type into our feed so the crew members can go in and they can help donate to help get some art supplies sent over to Legacy Prep?
Okay, so if they go to www.donorschoose.org.
Spell the last part. Donors, is it choose, CHOOSE?
Correct.
Okay.
DonorsChoose.org/classroom/again, and then our number is 788-7661.
All right, so 788-7661.
Correct.
If I can interrupt real quick, I think if you go, you can even go to, if somebody's like just listening right now and they can't type this in, it looks like, can you go to Donors Choose and then they could type in either Legacy Prep, because there's a section where it says search topics, teachers, and schools. So if they just get to the Donors Choose part, can they just type in Legacy?
Yes, if they go to Donors Choose, they can type in excellence in art.
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic.
Excellence in art. Yes.
Okay. I love this. I think this is one of those things that businesses, and I actually have a business I'd like you to put you in touch with. I think there are businesses that they can just grab this, push this out there. And, you know, you think about it, I think a lot of times when you donate money, unless you know it's a very specific cause, sometimes it's kind of broad and it gets lost. This is one of those, you know, I am buying this easel. It is going to a child who will use this to excel at art. I think it's great.
Absolutely. Yes. And so that is what we're trying to do. And I really appreciate you, Kathy, and Judge Payton for giving me this platform to speak on, to push this out. I know that our scholars would appreciate it. And in fact, once school resumes, I'm trying to get these items by August 9th. May not make that, but I am really pushing to have that art room furnished with supplies for our scholars on that very first day. And once we get there, I'm going to have our scholars to write thank you notes because the ones that have been there, they know our art program, and but I want them to, like I said, I want them to reflect back on the way it was and the way it is now. And I want them to be appreciative and send back notes of thanks to all of the contributors that have supported them in this effort.
Well, I think it's
This
super
is great. I mean, you can even. I mean, JP, I'm looking at this and I'm like, I'm going to make a donation right after the show. I mean, you can go on and buy some of those pom pom and tassel deco art. You can buy one for $3.44. She needs 5, but you can buy, a thing for $3. I mean, literally, there's a $2.04 for some craft glue. You can also go and you can purchase things that are like liquid Blick liquid watercolors. A set of 10, that's $31.86. So okay, I literally just supplied a classroom with this, and you can do it for under $5.
How many art stations? We have a
So
question
great.
from the crew. Tess Armstrong says, how many art stations need to be set up?
In the classroom, we're going to have 26 students per class. In each classroom.
So how many art stations? Will there be stations, or will each student have their own easel? What's kind of the plan there?
What we're going to have, if we're trying to get at least where it is, every kid won't have an easel, but we would have at least, I think I put on there, I have to go back in, I think it's 10 that I actually put on there. But the kids will be all sitting at tables, and we will have at least, the way I've set it up, it'll be 5 students per table. So we're looking at like 8, I believe it's 8 tables.
Gotcha.
That will be in. Those will be like 8 stations.
Perfect.
In the classroom.
Perfect.
Love it.
Now, is this tax deductible?
Oh, good question.
Oh, that is a good question, but I can definitely find out.
All right.
I believe it is, but I am not sure. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Well, and the site
Yeah.
may have it on there as well. But if you
it may
find out,
be
let
on
us
there.
know, and we'll pass it out there for sure. And hopefully
That's
we can
good.
get you
That's good
art
stuff.
supplied up by August the 9th. So when these kids come back to school, they'll walk into an art room and go, "Oh my gosh, where did all this come from?"
Wouldn't that be fantastic?
Yes.
That's
Oh, my
awesome.
God.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. I love it.
And and you're at the middle school level, and so now is the time to grab them
And that's
when
so
they're in
important.
that awkward, weird
Yep.
stage of puberty and adolescence and all
Yep.
of that, and to give them an outlet like art.
Absolutely.
That would be fantastic.
Well, especially
And
after the
so-
pandemic, they need to, if you can come into an art room and just be transformed into another world.
Transformers.
Hey, can JP and I sign up for your class? Now you'll have to separate us. You'll have to separate us though, because we will
we'll put
be
you
your
on one side.
troublemakers.
Yeah,
Okay, we'll put you on one side. We'll
Yes.
put the Duffers on the
you would
other
have
side.
to.
Oh, we would totally
If
come
not,
in.
we would be in your office on a daily
we
basis.
would be in the principal's office. It would be bad.
Yeah, JP, don't touch Kathy.
Yeah, no, JP, stop. Okay, stop. Okay, Kathy, give JP his artwork back. I
Kathy,
don't
quit
have
telling
it.
him that.
I
JP,
know.
don't touch Kathy. JP, quit hitting Kathy.
He would be the biggest class
Yeah.
disruptor.
Yeah, you would have to remove us. Well, again, Miss Effie Sample, thank you so much for joining us this morning and being a part of JP.
God bless you for
Kathy
loving
and
the
the
kids and
crew
the
and-
students so much. That's awesome. That's just good stuff.
Tess Armstrong says thank you. She's going to check this out.
Love
So
it. And
hopefully
and
we
Tess
can
is
help
very
get you-
generous
Thank
with
you.
She
kids.
is.
She's
She
very
really
good
is.
with
So
donating.
very much. I appreciate it.
All right, have a blessed day. We'll be
Have a
talking
good
to you
one.
soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, again,
How
with
cool
kids,
is
well, with
that?
kids coming back, and because you hit it on the head, that's kind of why I wanted to push this out there.
This is good stuff. Yeah.
The kids that were at Legacy last year, even when the campuses opened, a lot
Right.
of them, so Legacy never really truly closed, right?
Right.
Because they had families
They-
that were essential, that
They
needed
were
to have
one.
their
They
kids
were
in
one of
school.
the schools that they, even from the very beginning. Now they were also great. They delivered hotspots and computers, laptops to all of these
Well,
kids
lunches
in
and
need.
breakfast.
I mean, they are one of the schools that excelled and ramped up immediately during the pandemic.
Right.
But you're right. A lot of essential family workers in the medical field and different things like that, they had to work. Grocery store
Yeah.
workers, and so those kids were there. So
Well, and what was interesting, I remember walking in and,
yeah,
the cafeteria had been converted to a war room,
yeah,
more or less,
Yep.
on prepping lunches, technology
Yeah.
getting handled and dealt with. I mean, It wasn't a cafeteria anymore. And so when these kids walked into school, that's something else that they experienced was this doesn't look like my school. And so I think that you're going to have a lot of kids that are going to be coming back, not knowing what things are going to look like. And if you can put a little shine on that penny with some art supplies and easels around the room, and I think that just helps school become a little more tenable for a kiddo.
Well, it does. I mean, well, think about it. Think about the adults who have been stuck working from home, and just being able to get out, back around, back amongst the land of the living, so to speak. And especially for it's almost, obviously, art's an essential part of school. We could go on and on forever. That'd be a whole nother topic for a whole nother day on how important that is for learning and for continued learning, down into your adult years. But for our mental health, anything that you can do for a young child, for a kid, heck, for a fellow human being that helps them with their state of mental health. For a 6th, 7th grader who's awkward, who didn't like the Zoom thing because they felt like it was too close up at their face and maybe they had acne or braces or whatever, for them to be able to walk into a room and be like, this is my art station? Can you imagine what that does for the serotonin and for your brain?
Well, and it also gives you a break from math, science, English.
I was always welcoming a break from math. I was like, like I was on student council. I'm like, don't you need me to stay and volunteer? And my teacher's like, my student teacher, the student council teacher was like, no, Kathy, I need you to go pass algebra. Right. I'm like, I can grade papers for you for your history class. I need you to go pass algebra. I was always looking for a break from math.
But that, and again, that's what it gets you a moment away from the cores. The cores are very important, but you also want a fresh kiddo. Yeah. And so that art gives them a break, lets their brain take a break and use a different part of their brain as they move forward. Yeah. So
that's good stuff. And I love, it's so great to highlight teachers. Teachers are the unsung heroes. I think parents during the pandemic,
they figured that out.
They were like, what is your favorite drink from Starbucks? Because I will be getting that for you every Monday morning at the carpool drop-off. Right. But you see a teacher like this, and, I mean, she loves what she does. She's trying to make a difference. She's thinking out of the box for the kids.
Well, and what I love, too, is it's like you said, you can go on and see what you're buying.
Yes.
And it's like she said, I don't get any of the money. They go straight to the product. The product gets shipped to us.
It's fantastic. Yeah, it doesn't go into some black hole, and you're like, I think I'm helping out veterans, or I think I'm helping out, kids who don't have, who are undernourished, or, okay, but you just don't know. Yeah.
So turning to more liberating. Ooh. Gotta love that. Liberating.
SAT word.
I know. Oh. How about this? How about Cuba? Have you heard this morning?
No.
They are in the streets fighting for liberty.
What?
They are
wow. Because I've been completely away from news up until turning on the radio this morning on the way here to the studio.
They are looking dead on with Jeeps and machine guns loaded on the back of those Jeeps with soldiers, and they are still taking to the streets.
Trying to take their country back?
That's right.
Yep.
The citizens are done. They are tired, and they are ready to be free.
I'm surprised it's taken them this long.
Well, the Cuban, I don't know if you would call them, the Cuban juggernaut called Castro is finally taking a back seat.
Yeah.
Fidel's dead. His brother's probably on death's door.
I was going to say, is he still?
No, he's retired.
Yeah, but is he still alive even?
The brother is.
I didn't know. That's what I was talking about, his brother, because
he's alive.
It's one of those things, or is it Weekend at Bernie's? I'm not trying to make light of a death or anything, but is it a Weekend at Bernie's situation? No, is he really there? Okay. Okay.
He's alive, and he's also, like I say, he's retired.
Yeah.
President Miguel Diaz-Canel, who also heads the Communist Party, addressed the country and blamed the U.S. for stoking the anger. Now, I don't know how that's
Come on, honey.
even
We've got
possible.
so much anger here for ourselves. We don't have enough to give around.
Well, what blows me away
so
about that.
it's our fault?
Yeah, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris haven't even weighed in yet on this. And I think that's...
I'm sorry. I find that funny.
Oh.
So seriously, it's our fault.
Yeah. Yeah.
But of course it is.
Yeah. The order to fight has been given into the street.
Because
Revolutionaries.
Our people are so free that they can literally hound sitting presidents. Okay.
Yeah. And this is what this guy says. He goes, the order to fight has been given into the street. Revolutionaries, he said in an address, according to the BBC. Cuba is going through its worst. First of all, Cuba has been in a horrible economic situation for decades anyways.
Oh.
There is no such thing as health care in Cuba.
Oh, goodness gracious, no.
It's ridiculous.
No.
So to say that these people are finally protesting or becoming revolutionaries because it was called upon by Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, that is a joke. They're showing.
I didn't know when you said Cuba, I didn't know I would be giggling today.
Yeah.
It's just.
The country's also
That just
reported
tickles me.
7,000 daily COVID-19 infections and 47 deaths. That was as of Sunday. But this has been a long time coming. You can't keep a people down.
At some point, the people will rise. It's historical. You know, I mean, you've had the French Revolution. You've had this, for all time. At some point, you oppress people so much, and they see the opulence of whoever the ruler is and whoever their very small group of people are. I kind of like some of the stuff going on in D.C. right now. And you know what? Eventually, people say enough is enough, and they rise up. Human nature.
Absolutely. Jake Sullivan, the White House National Security Advisor, took to Twitter to say that the U.S. supports freedom of expression and assembly across Cuba and would strongly condemn any violence or targeting of peaceful protesters who are exercising their universal rights. Not so sure, Jake, I understand that whole universal rights thing, because in Cuba there's no such thing as universal rights.
Say that again. Say his comment again.
Yeah, universal rights. He says that peaceful protesters who are exercising their universal rights.
Well, describe to us what you mean by that. Just
well, by what he means by it.
Yeah,
right?
that's what I say. Yeah, by what? Not you. He.
Right.
He, yes.
I mean, because it's almost like a universal right. I guess he thinks that peaceable assembly is afforded to everybody across the world, and it's not. It's not deemed a universal right. Check with China and Tiananmen Square. Lathan and I talked about that on Friday.
Yeah.
Try a peaceful protest in China and have tanks
Oh,
rolling on you.
goodness gracious.
Yeah, and be shot with Russian machine
yeah,
guns.
I mean, be a female and go out to certain places in the Middle East and see how quickly you're shot.
So I don't know what you mean by universal rights.
And we're not knocking you. We just want you to explain to us what you mean. But it's one of those things. I think that, and this is what upsets me. And I hope maybe we can talk about. We'll have time to talk about this week. That video that Charles Gura sent to both you and I for a segment he produced for us. College-age kids saying how bad America sucks, and it's just so unpatriotic. And it's one of those things. Well, you should consider yourself so incredibly blessed, fortunate, lucky, whatever you call it, because you live in a country where you can stand up and say your country sucks. Most countries, and that's freedom of speech, and that's provided in our Constitution that our founding fathers put together. Most countries, you stand up and say that my country sucks. Goodbye.
See ya. You're a dissident.
That's it.
Ted Cruz, who's also a son of a Cuban immigrant, took to Twitter on Sunday as well in support of the thousands of protesters. Cruz reposted a video that claimed to show dozens in front of the Communist Party headquarters and said the current regime will be consigned to the dust bin of history. So it's going to be interesting to see what Canal does, because in the past, Fidel Castro would have violently put this out.
It would have been a bloodbath.
Absolutely.
It would have been a horrific bloodbath.
In fact, Ted Cruz went on to say it has brutalized and denied freedom to generations of Cubans and forced my family and so many others to flee. Yeah. The American people stand squarely with the men and women of Cuba and their noble fight for liberty. And so again, in 2009, Raul Castro formally replaced Fidel as Cuba's president, and then Diaz-Canel became Minister of Higher Education. In 2012, he rose to one of Cuba's vice presidencies, and then soon thereafter was named the first vice president, and then went on to take over as Raul decided to retire. So again, the Cuban people have taken to the streets. I never thought that I would be able to say that there would be a moment in my life where I would see Cuba as possibly being free.
Wow.
And now it is.
Can you imagine
this is
in
on
our
the brink.
lifetime if that happens?
No, I mean, it's on the
I
brink.
guess I never even, I never even thought that was in the realm of possibility.
Me
Yeah.
neither. So go Cuba. Go Cuban
Yep.
people, make your voices heard. All right. With that being said, everybody have a very blessed day. I know
Okay,
I can
and
hear the music.
we've got lotion. Do we
Well,
want to
we
do
can
this
do
on
it.
air?
We can do it while the music is starting to play there. Before you kick
Okay,
us off.
I'm going to give you this one to try. It's rosemary and lemon,
Uh-oh.
and I'm trying orange blush. Orange blossom.
So now
Orange
this is
blossom.
the lotion test.
Yes.
So will I break out?
Because now JP's
will
like
I
me.
not?
JP does like a good smelling lotion.
I do. And I don't like 17 lotions.
Yeah, he doesn't like them layered with 9,000 others.
Oh, I get to even open this
Oh,
one.
look, we're opening this up. This is fancy.
This is a reveal.
I saw,
We're
an
revealing.
unboxing, if
We're
you will.
unboxing.
Is
Michelle,
that's a thing, right?
Michelle, I'm taking my boxers off. Here we go.
God.
All right, here we go. We're going to try this.
Okay, you
it's
try
nice
that
and creamy.
one.
It's got good cream.
Okay.
Let's see. Oh, it's got a good smooth.
Oh,
I wouldn't use this for intimacy. So don't do that.
No. Well, never a fragrance thing for that.
Don't do that. That would be bad.
Okay.
I don't know. Watermelon and strawberry is kind of nice in it.
Oh, no, it's not Friday, JP.
Oh, it's not. My bad. Oh, that smells all right. This one's a little bit light.
Yeah, this one. Okay, so then what we'll do on Wednesday, we'll switch. Because I don't want to mix the two right now. I want to see.
I'm not
So
layering.
mine's orange blossom and pistachio.
And mine's rosemary.
Okay, and this is a Burt's Bees.
And it's got wish
Found a
shea
couple
butter.
of these on. Oh, and I found I'm
Rosemary
going to
lemon.
Market
I
Street,
love
so I'm
that.
going to get more of the lemongrass and sage.
I love that. That's one of my
Now
favorites.
that's a big one, but I wanted to see with this how it would be. So okay, so then on Wednesday we will switch, and we will give you a report.
Update. All right, there you go. Fun stuff. All right, everybody have a blessed week. We'll see you on Wednesday.
Love y'all.
Don't take
Be
life too
blessed.
seriously. Just serious enough. We're out.